So a few weeks ago, I flew out to California to visit Google's headquarters and check out what they had in store with all of their new products, including the new Google Pixel Watch 3. After that event, I posted a video here on YouTube talking about all the new exciting stuff, but we weren't allowed to share our thoughts or opinions or actually review these devices at that time. But now we are. So in this video today, we're gonna have a full in-depth review of the new Pixel Watch 3, what I think about it so far after using it ever since that event over the past few weeks. I've been wearing this watch 24 hours a day. In fact, if you've watched some of my recent videos, you'll probably see it on my wrist, and I've been putting it through its paces in terms of wellness tracking, activity tracking, taking it on my everyday runs, and a lot more. So today we'll be talking about the good stuff, the bad stuff, and everything in between. So buckle up and let's get right into it. The first thing I want to mention about the Google Pixel Watch 3 is that the version I have here and the one I've been testing is the larger 45mm design. And I mention that because there are two versions of the Pixel Watch 3. There's the small 41mm form factor and the bigger one. There's different prices ranging from $349 for Wi-Fi only, all the way up to $499 for the LTE version of the 45mm version, which is the one I have here. The only difference between the small one and the big one is going to be the price, the screen size, and the battery inside. When it comes to the design of the Pixel Watch 3, it really hasn't changed at all from previous generations. Even though this one is the larger 45mm form factor, like, it just looks pretty much the same from a hardware level. Even the optical heart rate sensor on the back looks pretty much the same. In my opinion, this is a really good looking watch. It's simple, it's minimalistic. However, I do wish there was more to it, like, I don't know, a better way to dress it up. In some ways, I kind of wish Google took the opportunity to make the 45mm version of the Pixel Watch 3 like a Pixel Watch Ultra or Pixel Watch Pro with like a rugged design in a sort of more beefy build, but that's not what they did here. And when it comes to the weight of the Pixel Watch 3 in this larger form factor, on my scale, I am getting 65 grams, so that's a pretty lightweight watch. One thing I do like about the design of the Pixel Watch 3, and all Pixel Watches for that matter, is just their comfort level. When you have this watch on your wrist, because it's sort of a round design, even the side of it is round, it really is a super comfortable watch. The only other thing I want to mention about the Google Pixel Watch 3 is durability. Because this watch is completely round, it's all curved glass, it doesn't have a bezel that protects the display like my Garmin here, it is susceptible to scratches. I've had this watch for a few weeks now, wearing it every day, and mine actually does have a few scratches on the display around the perimeter there. When it comes to the display on the Pixel Watch 3, in my case, the larger 45mm version, this watch does have a 36.2mm display under the glass. And it's a really nice display. As you can see, it's super bright, 2000 nits of brightness, and I have no issues looking at this display even out in direct sunlight when I'm running and I need to glance at my pace or something like that. No issues there either. Hey, quick interruption. If you're finding this video useful so far, I would really appreciate it if you went down and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel down below so you don't miss more videos like this in the future. And while you're down there, check out the links in the description down below as well, where you can pick up your very own Pixel Watch 3. Those links do help support this channel, but they cost nothing extra to you. So you might as well use them, okay? Back to the video. Now let's talk about the user interface on the Google Pixel 3. Largely, it's very similar to the Google Pixel 2, but this watch has been upgraded to Google Wear OS 5. Even though this watch has the same SoC or chipset as the previous generation, there's really no lag at all. It's really fluid and seamless, and as I swipe through all of these tiles, you can see all of the information just flies by without any hesitation. The watch face you're seeing here is included and installed by default, and I do really like it because there's a ton of information at a glance, and if I do tap on the little running man there, it'll dive me directly into a run activity, which is pretty useful. Swiping over again brings us to Google Assistant, because of course, Pixel Watch 3 is a Google device, it's got Google Assistant on board, and it does have a speaker and microphone, so you can do things like, what's the weather right now?
Right now in Tewksbury, it's 76 degrees and sunny. Today, it'll be sunny, with a forecasted high of 76 and a low of 55.
And generally speaking, the Google Assistant and the voice controls all work really well on this device. No surprise there. If you were curious what the speaker and microphone sound like on the Google Pixel Watch 3, that's what you're hearing right now. I'm recording this audio directly into the Pixel Watch 3 and playing it back using the built-in speaker and holding it right up to a super high quality microphone. Now, if I tap on the middle button on the right here, that brings us into our app menu here. I've got my alarm clock, All Trails, Google Assistant, Audible, my camera remote here. We've got Deezer, voice recorder, Google Wallet for NFC payments, so you don't have to dig out your credit card. I probably don't have to tell you this, but as a Google Wear device, you have access to a ton of different apps. There's thousands of different apps. And when it comes to Google Maps on the Pixel Watch 3, it works great as expected since it is a Google product. And this time around, Google has added the ability to store downloaded maps offline. Unfortunately, there is still no map data page within the FitBit exercise app. It's still isolated to a separate app. So if you want to navigate and do an activity at the same time, like running or walking, it's two different apps you have to toggle between. Okay, with the user interface and apps out of the way, let's talk about battery life, because that's where things get pretty interesting on the Pixel Watch 3. As I mentioned before, if you look at the spec sheet on Google's website, you can see that both the small version and the big version have the same battery spec, which had me scratching my head because obviously the big version has a bigger battery, so how could it possibly have the same battery life? So I've been testing this watch with default out-of-the-box settings. That includes the always-on display being on and taking the watch for a run between 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, on a daily basis. And in my testing so far, with default settings, I'm getting like a day and a half of battery life on the Pixel Watch 3. By like lunchtime the following day, I'll need to charge it, but it's definitely consistently more than 24 hours. Now let's talk about battery saver mode. So battery saver mode on the Pixel Watch 3 is pretty interesting. First of all, it does turn on automatically in default settings at 20%, just to conserve that last bit of battery life to make it last a little bit longer. But you can also manually turn battery saver mode on in the settings here by tapping the little battery icon. The cool thing about battery saver mode on the Pixel Watch 3 is that it doesn't cripple the watch. On the Pixel Watch 3 with battery saver mode enabled, you still get notifications from your phone, you'll still get LTE capabilities, and most importantly, you get all-day health and wellness data. So it will still track your sleep, it'll still track your heart rate throughout the day. You don't lose any of that by using battery saver mode. So with battery saver mode enabled, I got 2 full days of use. It was a stretch, like when I woke up on the second day, I had like 2% of battery life, but it was still 2 full days, 2 nights of sleeping, 2 days of going on runs and all-day wellness data in battery saver mode. So you do get an extra half a day with battery saver mode enabled, and you really don't make a whole lot of sacrifices. When it comes to battery life though, the story's not over, because we had to talk about GPS on battery life when you're actually out on a run or a bike ride with the Pixel Watch 3. Unfortunately, Google does not give us a spec for GPS on battery life, like the competition out there, for example, Garmin, does. But they've taken the route like Apple, where they just tell you all day battery life and leave it at that. So in my testing so far in default settings, I was losing about 10 to 11% of battery life per hour. That will yield about 9 to 10 hours in a GPS activity. However, I did a bunch of tests also with battery saver mode enabled just to see if that made a difference, and it did make a minor difference. In battery saver mode in a GPS activity, I was losing about 8% per hour. So you get a little bit more battery life there, but obviously you won't be using the Google Pixel Watch 3 to run your next 100-mile ultra marathon. This watch will be totally capable of running distances of a marathon or even a 50K or even 50 miler if you can run fast enough. Now let's talk about some of the health and wellness features on board the Google Pixel Watch 3. Of course, this is a Google Watch, so it does use FitBit, and there are some new features under the hood of FitBit that make it pretty interesting. So up at the top here, we have all of my data from my step count to my distance run. Now the readiness score is super interesting because it's comparable to a lot of the other platforms out there, like Garmin's Body Battery or even the Oura Ring I have here, where they try to give you an idea of how much energy you have to take on the day ahead. When it comes to Fitbit here, the readiness score is based on these factors. You've got heart rate variability, you've got the past 2 weeks of sleep, and then you've got your resting heart rate. And as you can see, my resting heart rate is 3 beats per minute higher than usual. But with the Pixel Watch and Fitbit, the readiness score isn't just in a silo by itself. This score plays a role in a whole bunch of other stuff. So if I jump back to the dashboard here and scroll down, we've got more information about my activities for the week. So here I've got my cardio load for today, which is 2 because I have done nothing. I haven't gone my run yet. But if I tap in on cardio load, you'll see that I have a target load as well. Oh yeah, and I should probably also mention that cardio load and target load are going to be free, and cardio load is based on a variety of factors. Other platforms call this training load because it's really only for training like running or bike riding or whatever, where Google takes a different approach. They're actually including all of your activity, not just your training, under this load. So cardio load will include things like going on a run or a bike ride, but it will also include things like a vigorous day of doing yard work or, working on your car or something like like that, where you're super active, but it's not necessarily a workout and you haven't started an activity on your watch. Now, the other part of this is target load, and target load is generated on a daily basis. When you wake up in the morning, you'll have a new target load. And the idea behind that is to keep your cardio progressing in the right direction, so that target load is giving you a goal for the day to strive for with your cardio load. Now, below target load and cardio load, you've got your past 7 days of training and a little gauge that lets you know if you're improving or declining. So for me, it's showing me a little above average there, and it means I'm improving, my fitness is getting better over time. Jumping back to the dashboard here, below cardio load, we have my running distance for the week, and then below that are days of the week that I exercised. So you get a little checkbox on every day that you did a workout. Below that, you have activity zone minutes, and then you have steps for the day, your hourly activity, what hours you're most active, which is kind of cool, how many floors you climbed for the day, and then down here you have health metrics. This one's pretty cool. This is kind of like Apple's Vitals app, where it actually breaks down your breathing rate, your heart rate variability, your skin temperature, your oxygen saturation, and your resting heart rate. And if everything's in line, it'll give you a simple check mark to all of these. Now, if any of these are way off, for example, if HRV was really, really low, it might indicate that I'm overtraining, I didn't sleep well, or I could be coming down with a sickness. Below the health metrics, we've got my heart rate data here, and you can see my minimum and maximum heart rate for the day, my weight, and then way down below, we have stress and mindfulness. Again, I believe these are paid premium features. Now let's dive into an example run just to show you some of the data collected during a run with the Pixel Watch 3. Up at the top, you do get a full map of your activity if you are doing an outdoor workout like I did here. Then you've got your cardio load score. So this is the cardio load for this particular activity, and that'll get rolled up into the cardio load for the whole day. Below cardio load, you get your overall distance and your duration, your pace average, your elevation gain, and how many calories you burned during this particular activity. Scrolling down, you get your splits here, you get a heart rate graph that's actually pretty detailed, and then you've got a heart rate zone graph here as well. Below that, we also get an elevation graph, so if you were doing like a hike or a really hilly trail run or something like that, it would be a lot more exciting. And then way down at the bottom here, you do get all of the new advanced running metrics. So you've got stride length, step cadence, ground contact time, and vertical ratio, along with vertical oscillation. If you're a casual runner, you probably have no idea what this stuff is. These are advanced metrics for more advanced runner to try to hone in on that perfect form. So you don't really need to even know what each one of these things mean. It'll let you know if you're improving or declining after each one of your workouts, which is kind of cool. And when it comes to activity recording, you can send your activities to places like Strava by setting that up within the FitBit app as well. Okay, now let's talk about training plans and the new AI training features, because it's really interesting. Unfortunately, the AI stuff here is a paid thing. So you do need that Fitbit premium account if you want to access the AI training features. And honestly, I thought it was going to be a gimmick, but it turns out to be pretty cool. When you set this feature up, it asks a variety of questions like what days you can set aside for your long run, what your goals are, for example, if you want better endurance or you want to run faster. And if you do opt to include strength training, it will also ask what gym equipment you have at home, like barbells, dumbbells, a treadmill, whatever, so it knows what workouts it can actually suggest to you that you can actually get done. So as you can see here, I've already set mine up, and I told it that I wanted to work on my endurance. And right at the top here, under my coach tab here, I get my workout for the day. And these are my daily picks for all of the workouts I should do to complement my running. So here for the strength training stuff, I've got lower body circuit training, I've got off the floor cardio, and if I scroll back to the top here, you can see that my run for the day is a tempo interval run that will be 32 minutes. And if I click on that, I can either start this particular workout, like this sprint interval, by saying start on watch at the bottom down here, or I can click customize if I want to customize this even further to my particular needs. And all of this is surprisingly useful. These recommended workouts actually look pretty good. And if they don't look good, they make a good foundation for me to build on to customize them even further. Another new feature on the Pixel Watch 3 is the ability to broadcast your heart rate using the optical sensor on the back of the watch to nearby Bluetooth equipment. In my testing, this feature works just fine. However, I am kind of disappointed that you still can't pair external heart rate sensors or external sensors at all to the Pixel Watch. That is still one big limitation of the Pixel Watch. Now that we've talked about workouts on the Pixel Watch 3, let's talk about what it's like to actually go for a run with the Pixel Watch 3. So there is a new addition on Pixel Watch 3 of a pace and heart rate gauge on the side of the watch. And this is particularly useful when you are executing one of those workouts like we just talked about. For example, if I was to start that sprint activity workout, I would get a gauge on the left side of the screen that would let me know if I was right in that goal zone of heart rate performance, or if I was too high or too low. As you can see here, you can also customize how those data fields and those gauges look. At the time of filming though, there is no like running power, for example, on the Pixel Watch 3. That's just something that doesn't exist. Another nice feature on the Google Pixel Watch 3 is access to your media controls when you're out on a run. As you can see here, I'm in a running activity, and if I swipe to the right, you can see if I was playing something on my phone, I would get media controls here to pause, play, change my volume, skip tracks, and more. Now let's talk about GPS accuracy on the Google Pixel Watch 3 when you're actually out on that run or hike or whatever. So the Google Pixel Watch 3, despite its rather expensive price tag of up to $500 for this version I have here, it is still only a single band GPS device. I found this kind of surprising because most watches in this price range right now are a dual band or multi-band enabled GPS device. With that being said, the multi-band versus single band thing is only one aspect of the puzzle when it comes to GPS accuracy. I guess I'll just summarize the GPS performance that I've seen so far on the Pixel Watch 3 by saying it's okay. I think most people, if you're just a casual runner or hiker or walker or someone like that, you're not gonna really notice or complain about the GPS accuracy on the Pixel Watch 3. The GPS accuracy on the Pixel Watch 3 is pretty good, but there is a lot of drifting. It's not perfect. I'd say it's okay. And with GPS accuracy out of the way, let's talk about the heart rate sensor accuracy from the optical heart rate sensor on the back of the watch. Because Google made some big claims about the Pixel Watch 3 when they launched it, saying that it had the best accuracy for running activities. And when it comes to the heart rate data coming out of the Pixel Watch 3, generally speaking, I'm impressed. It's pretty much right in line with my ECG sensor, pretty much in every activity. There have been a couple of deviations here and there, but nothing major. And I would say the optical sensor on the Pixel Watch 3 is performing really well so far. So I'll just leave it there. The optical heart rate sensor on Pixel Watch 3 gets a thumbs up for me in my testing so far, but I will continue testing it, and down the road, we'll see if that changes. And that brings us to the final part of this video where I want to talk final thoughts and conclusions about the Pixel Watch 3. In my mind, the Pixel Watch 3 is sort of like the Apple Watch equivalent for Google and Android devices. It's reliable, the software is well polished, the battery life is okay for an LTE enabled device, getting a couple of days with that battery saver mode. You've got okay GPS accuracy, good heart rate sensor accuracy. You've got that Google ecosystem where you can see your Nest doorbell on your watch if someone rings it. I guess that's pretty cool. And with all of the FitBit upgrades, the Pixel Watch 3 actually makes a pretty solid training companion. I really enjoyed my time testing out the training features of this watch with cardio load, training load, and the updated readiness score, along with that new AI suggested workout thing that's actually pretty useful. With all that being said, there are some downsides to the Pixel Watch 3. Like I said, for a $500 watch to not have dual band GPS is kind of a letdown in my opinion. I also feel like this larger form factor was sort of a missed opportunity to make sort of a rugged Google Watch. Maybe next time. And finally, the Google Pixel Watch 3 is still missing some core functionality when it comes to fitness tracking. Like you can't pair an external heart rate sensor to the Pixel Watch 3. You can't pair a power meter to the Pixel Watch 3. It doesn't do external sensors at all. If you are a serious adventurer, you're out in the backcountry doing bushwhacking and hiking, or you're a hardcore athlete who goes on ultra marathons that are 100 miles long, that's where the Pixel Watch 3 might be a bit of a letdown, and where something like a Garmin or a Coros or Polar or Suunto, something like that, might be a better fit. At the end of the day though, the Google Pixel Watch 3 is the best Pixel Watch they've made to date, and it should be, because it's the newest one. So if you are a Pixel phone user and you're in the market for a watch like this, just get this one. Whew, we made it to the end of this video, and if you're still watching this video, you probably liked this video, and if you did like it, I would really appreciate it if you would go down and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. And while you're down there subscribing, make sure to drop down in the comments down below and let me know what you think of the Google Pixel Watch 3. Are you gonna pick this thing up, or are you gonna skip on it? Let me know down below, I'd love to hear from you. And after you're done commenting, make sure to check out the description down below where you will find links where you can go purchase your very own Google Pixel Watch 3 or any of the other watches I've showed off in this video. Those links do help support this channel, but they cost nothing extra to you, so you might as well use them. And then after you're done shopping, also make sure to check out all of my other links to my social media accounts like my podcast, my Strava, and of course my website where you can pick up a sweet t-shirt like this. Do it, please, okay? With that, we've made it to the end. I'm gonna go now, and I'll see you next time. Bye!